In conclusion, the reality of modern conflict is no longer defined only by battlefield strength, but by strategy, sustainability, economics, technology, alliances, and above all, numbers. Whether it is missile defense effectiveness, cost balance, regional cooperation, psychological influence, or escalation control, every factor works together in a complex system. Power today is not just about having advanced weapons. It is about having enough of them, maintaining them, financing them, protecting them, and using them wisely. It is about endurance under pressure, coordination across regions, and the ability to prevent small incidents from turning into large-scale escalation. When we analyze these elements carefully, we understand that stability depends on balance, deterrence depends on credibility, defense depends on readiness, and peace often depends on restraint. In a world connected by markets, media, and military networks, every action has ripple effects that extend far beyond borders. That is why understanding the numbers, the systems, and the strategies behind them is so important. Knowledge reduces fear, clarity reduces confusion, and informed discussion helps build perspective rather than panic. As we close this speech, remember that awareness is power. When we study global issues with logic and calm analysis, we become better thinkers and better decision makers. The future is shaped not only by leaders and nations, but also by informed minds that understand complexity without exaggeration. Let this discussion encourage critical thinking, responsible dialogue, and a deeper appreciation for how modern strategy truly works. Good luck to everyone watching, whether you are creating content, studying international relations, or simply expanding your understanding of the world. May your efforts bring success, confidence, and growth in everything you pursue. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your support. I truly appreciate you being here, and I look forward to sharing more insightful discussions with you in the future. In conclusion, the reality of modern conflict is no longer defined only by battlefield strength, but by strategy, sustainability, economics, technology, alliances, and above all, numbers. Whether it is missile defense effectiveness, cost balance, regional cooperation, psychological influence, or escalation control, every factor works together in a complex system. Power today is not just about having advanced weapons. It is about having enough of them, maintaining them, financing them, protecting them, and using them wisely. It is about endurance under pressure, coordination across regions, and the ability to prevent small incidents from turning into large-scale escalation. When we analyze these elements carefully, we understand that stability depends on balance, deterrence depends on credibility, defense depends on readiness, and peace often depends on restraint. In a world connected by markets, media, and military networks, every action has ripple effects that extend far beyond borders. That is why understanding the numbers, the systems, and the strategies behind them is so important. Knowledge reduces fear, clarity reduces confusion, and informed discussion helps build perspective rather than panic. As we close this speech, remember that awareness is power. When we study global issues with logic and calm analysis, we become better thinkers and better decision makers. The future is shaped not only by leaders and nations, but also by informed minds that understand complexity without exaggeration. Let this discussion encourage critical thinking, responsible dialogue, and a deeper appreciation for how modern strategy truly works. Good luck to everyone watching, whether you are creating content, studying international relations, or simply expanding your understanding of the world. May your efforts bring success, confidence, and growth in everything you pursue. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your support. I truly appreciate you being here, and I look forward to sharing more insightful discussions with you in the future. Modern missile defense systems are designed around speed, precision, and layered protection, and their effectiveness depends on how well they can detect and intercept incoming threats in real time. When discussing systems like THAAD, the key issue is not just technological sophistication, but how the system performs against different types of ballistic missiles under realistic combat conditions. Ballistic missiles travel at extremely high speeds and follow complex trajectories, which means the defense system must identify the launch quickly, track the missile throughout its flight path, and calculate an interception point within seconds. This process requires advanced radar coverage, reliable communication links, and highly responsive interceptor missiles that can launch immediately after confirmation of a threat. A major factor in missile defense is the concept of interception probability. No defense system guarantees complete protection, so planners evaluate performance using statistical models that estimate success rates under various scenarios. These estimates consider variables such as missile speed, altitude, angle of attack, countermeasures, and whether multiple missiles are launched at the same time. When only one missile is incoming, interception chances may be relatively high, but if several are launched in quick succession, the system may face saturation. Saturation occurs when the number of incoming threats exceeds the system's ability to track and intercept them efficiently, creating pressure on both radar tracking capacity and interceptor inventory. Another critical element is coverage area. THAAD is designed to protect specific regions rather than entire countries, meaning placement of the system plays a strategic role. If positioned correctly, it can shield important military bases, population centers, or infrastructure. However, geography, terrain, and range limitations influence how effectively the system can respond to threats from different directions. Defense planners must carefully determine where to deploy units to maximize detection time and interception opportunities, since early warning increases the chances of success. Interceptor availability is equally important. Each interception attempt uses one missile, and repeated attacks can reduce stockpiles quickly. Resupply depends on manufacturing capacity, transportation logistics, and operational readiness. If resupply is slow during high-intensity conflict, the defensive capability may weaken over time. This creates a dynamic environment where sustained attacks test not only the technology, but also the logistical framework supporting it. Electronic warfare and countermeasures also play a role. Adversaries may attempt to confuse radar systems or deploy decoys to reduce interception accuracy. Modern defense systems must filter real threats from false signals, which adds complexity to the tracking process. Continuous software updates, system integration, and coordination with other defense layers enhance overall effectiveness, creating a networked structure rather than relying on a single shield, especially when facing evolving missile capabilities and changing tactical environments. Cost imbalance in modern warfare is one of the most important strategic dynamics shaping long-term conflicts, especially when comparing offensive missile systems with advanced defensive interceptors. In many cases, the cost of producing a single high-end defensive interceptor can be significantly higher than the cost of manufacturing an offensive missile. This creates a mathematical pressure point in prolonged engagements, where the side launching repeated attacks may spend less per unit compared to the side attempting to defend against them. Over time, this difference can accumulate into a substantial economic burden, influencing sustainability rather than just immediate battlefield outcomes. When defensive systems are forced to respond to multiple incoming threats, each interception requires launching a new interceptor missile. If an adversary uses relatively lower-cost projectiles in large quantities, the defender must decide whether to engage each one or prioritize only the most dangerous targets. This decision-making process is guided by resource management and threat assessment, but it highlights how financial efficiency becomes a tactical factor. In a scenario involving repeated attacks, the total expense of maintaining continuous interception can rise quickly, especially if stockpiles need constant replenishment. Production capacity also plays a major role in this imbalance. Offensive missiles can sometimes be manufactured in large batches with standardized components, allowing faster scaling during conflict. Defensive systems, particularly advanced interceptors, often require sophisticated materials, precise engineering, and rigorous testing, which can limit rapid expansion. If demand for interceptors exceeds production speed, stockpiles may decline, creating stress within the defense structure. This does not automatically mean vulnerability, but it demonstrates how economic endurance can influence strategic calculations. Logistics further intensifies cost considerations. Transporting, storing, and maintaining advanced defense systems requires infrastructure, trained personnel, and ongoing technical support. Maintenance cycles, software updates, and system calibration add recurring expenses. In contrast, offensive weapons designed for one-time use may require less complex maintenance after deployment. Over an extended period, these differences shape budget allocation priorities and defense planning strategies. The cost imbalance also affects deterrence theory. If an attacker believes that sustained pressure can impose disproportionate financial strain, it may influence strategic behavior. Conversely, defenders often rely on layered defense networks, combining multiple systems to distribute interception responsibility and reduce pressure on a single platform. This approach spreads costs across different technologies, increasing resilience and reducing dependence on one line of defense. Ultimately, the economic dimension of warfare transforms it into a competition of sustainability, where the ability to maintain operations over time becomes as critical as technological superiority and battlefield performance. Regional alliances and force multiplication are central to understanding how modern power projection works, especially in strategically sensitive regions. In contemporary conflicts, no country operates in isolation. Partnerships, defense agreements, shared intelligence networks, and forward military bases significantly expand operational reach. These alliances allow a state to extend its influence without necessarily increasing its own troop numbers proportionally. Through cooperation, forces can share surveillance data, coordinate air defense coverage, and synchronize naval movements, which effectively multiplies overall capability beyond what raw numbers might suggest. Force multiplication occurs when combined systems create an advantage greater than the sum of their parts. For example, one nation may contribute advanced radar technology while another provides geographic positioning or logistical support. When integrated properly, these contributions reduce response time, improve situational awareness, and increase defensive depth. In a military context, layered defense strategies often depend on such cooperation, where different platforms cover different ranges and altitudes, creating overlapping protection zones. This structure complicates offensive planning because an adversary must account for multiple detection and interception layers rather than a single defensive perimeter. Geography also plays a decisive role. Proximity to key waterways, air corridors, and maritime choke points can dramatically influence deployment efficiency. Forward bases shorten the distance between launch points and potential conflict zones, allowing faster reaction times. Naval presence in surrounding waters can provide early warning capabilities and extend surveillance coverage far beyond national borders. Air assets stationed at Allied facilities can operate with reduced transit time, increasing operational tempo and sustainability during high alert periods. Intelligence sharing further enhances force multiplication. When Allied systems exchange real-time data, they create a broader detection network. This reduces blind spots and increases accuracy in threat assessment. Coordinated command structures enable faster decision-making, especially in scenarios where seconds matter. The ability to integrate satellite monitoring, radar tracking, and reconnaissance assets across multiple territories strengthens overall defensive posture and complicates any adversary's strategic calculations. Logistical support is another critical component. Access to regional supply chains, refueling stations, repair facilities, and ammunition depots ensures sustained operations during extended tensions. Without such infrastructure, even advanced military units may face limitations in endurance. Alliances therefore influence not only immediate combat strength, but also long-term operational sustainability. In modern strategic environments, partnerships can shift regional balance by enhancing reach, increasing redundancy, and distributing risk across multiple actors, which transforms localized power into a wider network of influence that extends across air, land, and sea domains, shaping deterrence patterns and response frameworks in complex and evolving security landscapes. Psychological and economic warfare have become central elements of modern conflicts, often influencing outcomes as much as military operations themselves. In today's interconnected world, battles are not limited to physical territory. They extend into financial markets, energy supplies, media narratives, and public confidence. When tensions rise between major powers, the immediate reaction is frequently visible in global oil prices, stock markets, currency values, and investor sentiment. These rapid fluctuations can create economic pressure that affects governments, businesses, and ordinary citizens, demonstrating how perception and confidence can shape strategic environments. Psychological impact plays a major role in deterrence and escalation control. The perception of strength, readiness, and resolve can discourage adversaries from taking aggressive actions. Conversely, uncertainty or mixed signals may increase risk calculations on both sides. Information dissemination, public statements, and strategic messaging are used to influence not only opponents but also domestic and international audiences. In modern conflicts, communication is carefully managed because public opinion can affect political decision-making, resource allocation, and alliance stability. The psychological dimension therefore operates alongside military preparedness, reinforcing deterrence without necessarily involving direct confrontation. Economic warfare focuses on applying pressure through financial instruments rather than battlefield engagement. Sanctions, trade restrictions, asset freezes, and energy limitations are tools designed to influence behavior. These measures can restrict access to technology, limit export revenues, or disrupt supply chains. At the same time, targeted nations may respond by adjusting trade routes, strengthening alternative partnerships, or developing domestic production capabilities. Over time, economic resilience becomes a critical factor in maintaining strategic stability. Energy markets are particularly sensitive to geopolitical tension. Because many regions depend on steady oil and gas flows, disruptions or fears of disruption can trigger global price volatility. Even the possibility of conflict in key transit areas can influence transportation costs, insurance rates, and industrial production worldwide. This interconnectedness means that economic consequences often extend far beyond the immediate region of tension. Financial systems also respond quickly to uncertainty. Investors may shift capital towards safer assets, affecting currency exchange rates and national budgets. Governments must then balance defense spending with economic stability, ensuring that military preparedness does not undermine long-term fiscal health. This balancing act highlights how economic strength supports strategic endurance. In modern geopolitical competition, psychological confidence and economic stability function as indirect power multipliers, shaping outcomes through influence, perception, and market dynamics, reinforcing the reality that contemporary conflicts operate across multiple domains simultaneously, where information flows, financial networks, and public sentiment can be as impactful as physical force and operational capability. Escalation control is one of the most critical concepts in modern international security because it determines whether tensions remain limited or expand into broader conflict. In high-stakes rivalries, both sides constantly evaluate the risks and consequences of their actions. Every military move, statement, or deployment is assessed not only for immediate impact, but also for how the other side might interpret it. Strategic decision-makers focus on maintaining deterrence while avoiding steps that could trigger unintended escalation. This delicate balance requires careful communication, measured responses, and clear signaling to prevent misunderstandings that could lead to rapid retaliation. Deterrence plays a central role in escalation management. It is based on the idea that a credible ability to respond strongly discourages aggression in the first place. When each side believes the other has both the capability and willingness to retaliate, they are more likely to avoid direct confrontation. This creates a stabilizing effect where the threat of consequences maintains equilibrium. However, deterrence depends on credibility. If one side doubts the other's commitment or capacity, the balance can weaken, increasing the probability of miscalculation. Retaliation capability is closely connected to this concept. A nation must demonstrate that it can absorb an initial strike and still respond effectively. This survivability is often supported by dispersed assets, redundant systems, and secure command structures. The ability to maintain operational continuity under pressure strengthens deterrence because it signals resilience. When adversaries recognize that a first move will not eliminate response capacity, they may reconsider aggressive options. Risk tolerance is another essential factor. Leaders assess how much uncertainty they are willing to accept before taking action. Some situations involve ambiguity, incomplete intelligence, or rapidly changing conditions. In such cases, cautious decision-making reduces the likelihood of unintended consequences. Different political systems, leadership styles, and strategic cultures influence how risk is evaluated. Understanding these differences is important for predicting behavior during crises. Communication channels between rivals also contribute to escalation control. Direct dialogue, back-channel negotiations, and crisis hotlines can help clarify intentions and reduce misinterpretation. Transparent signaling through diplomatic statements or international forums can further stabilize tense situations. When communication breaks down, the risk of escalation increases because assumptions may replace verified information. Ultimately, escalation control depends on a combination of deterrence strength, retaliation assurance, measured risk assessment, and reliable communication, forming a strategic framework designed to prevent localized incidents from expanding into wider conflict while maintaining balance and stability in a complex and interconnected security environment. Imagine a moment where one decision, one number, one calculation can change the direction of an entire region. Not because of emotion, not because of headlines, but because of mathematics, strategy, and timing. Today's conflicts are no longer just about soldiers on the ground or machines in the sky. They are about systems, speed, stockpiles, economics, psychology, and above all, balance. When tensions rise between powerful nations, the world doesn't just watch missiles, it watches markets. It doesn't just track deployments, it tracks deterrence. It doesn't just count weapons, it counts endurance. This speech is not about fear. It is about understanding the reality behind the numbers. Because in modern warfare, numbers tell the real story. How many interceptors are available? How fast can they be replaced? How strong is the defense network under pressure? What happens if attacks come faster than systems can respond? These are not dramatic questions. They are strategic ones, and the answers can shape global stability. We are living in an era where defense systems are tested not only by technology, but by volume, where alliances multiply strength, where economics can be as powerful as missiles, where psychological confidence can prevent conflict or trigger it. Every escalation carries consequences, and every restraint carries meaning. The difference between stability and chaos often comes down to calculated decisions made in moments most people never see. Tonight, we will break down the key forces that define this equation. We will explore how defense systems work under pressure. We will examine the balance between cost and capacity. We will look at how alliances expand reach. We will understand how markets react before armies move. And we will uncover why escalation control is the most important number of all. Stay with this discussion until the end, because what you are about to hear is not just analysis. It is a deeper look at how modern power truly works and how the future of conflict may depend less on emotion and more on calculation than most people realize.